Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Luke and today we're going to run through key property selection criteria. This video is going to outline the key things you need to look for when you're making a property purchase. We're going to run through land specifics, location specifics, and property specifics. So the things you need to look out for when you're making a property purchase and the key criteria that Emily and I use to make our purchases. Before we jump into some property specific criteria, I just want to run through some big no-nos when making a property purchase. If you think that the house will flood in the next 10, 50 or 100 years, maybe you should look at ruling out that property purchase. You can look up historical flood records and you should be able to find out whether the property has flooded before and whether you're willing to go ahead with the purchase on that basis. Other big factors that you might want to rule a property out for would be structural or foundation issues or mass termites in the property and in the structure of the home. So let's kick off with looking at land component. Now, land component is a valuable piece when you're making a property purchase, as a common saying is that land appreciates and buildings depreciate. So buying a good parcel of land in a good location with a good size relative to the area is very important. When Emily and I are making a property purchase decision, we look at comparable land sizes in that area and the proximity to the CBD. So for example, one of the properties we purchased was on 304 square meters of land, and it's roughly a few kilometers from the CBD. So the key with land is to buy similar land size to the other properties in the area, taking into account the proximity to the CBD. So if you had 300 square meters of land only 1 to 2 kilometers from the CBD and 300 square meters of land about 30 kilometers from the CBD, you definitely want to pick purchasing the 300 square meters only a few kilometers away. Now, lots of developers are doing small blocks well out from the CBD, but because you can buy 600, 800 and 1,000 square meter blocks in that distance from the CBD, you're not going to want to buy smaller blocks further away from the city. You want to try and get the largest land component that you can, as close to the key amenities, being typically the central business district, schools and shops that you can. Just to give you a bit of a guide of standard square meter sizes in Brisbane, a 300 to 400 square meter lot would range anywhere from 1 to 4 kilometers from the CBD. And then you'd be looking at 400 to 600 square meter blocks around 5 to 7 kilometers from the CBD. And 7 kilometers out from the CBD would be about 600 square meters plus of land component. So the key thing to remember is get the largest land component you can in the best location you can. So the next thing I want to talk about is the location. And the location is critical to making a property purchase because you want to buy a property that owner-occupiers will want to purchase down the track and that will also appeal to renters. Now, some criteria might be not buying on a main road because of noise and traffic congestion and difficulty pulling out of your driveway. You don't want to buy on thoroughfares as well due to the traffic and noise. You typically want to avoid corner blocks and T intersections. Now, corner blocks is a interesting topic. It depends when you're buying a corner block, but typically corner blocks are less popular with owner occupiers and therefore you'll have a smaller market if you ever wanted to sell the property. But they also have the opportunity for dual frontage and the ability to build granny flats or secondary dwellings in those areas. So be aware of corner blocks as a potential investment opportunity. T intersections you want to typically avoid because you don't want a semi-trailer driving through your living room in the middle of the night, and also you get a lot of car headlights beaming straight into your house as they pull up to the give way or the stop sign. Other things you want to avoid are motorways, being too close to schools, buying a house that is sandwiched between two large apartment blocks or that is overlooked by a large public space or event center. It does depend in those situations, but it's to be mindful that you typically want to buy on a quiet, owner-occupied street which has owner-occupier appeal. Other points with the location is to have good public transport and a good walk score to local shops, schools and buses or trains. And these are the main criteria that Emily and I look out for when we're going to make a property purchase. So we've looked at the square meters of land that you want to buy when you're making a purchase. We've looked at some of the location factors. Now I want to talk about property specific factors when you're buying a home. Now this is purely dependent and it can be quite speculative depending on the property purchase you're making, whether you're buying a renovator or a new property. But I want to run you through some general things that we look for when we've got some property specifics. So Emily and I, we always look at the roof condition when we're making a property purchase. If you have holes or leaks coming through your roof line, that can be a very costly thing to fix. So a tin roof is common in Queensland, but also tile roofs are common as well. But the main thing you want to look out for in your roof is that it's watertight and it's got some life left in it for the long term. Asbestos roofs are out there and they still remain across Australia, and you can typically spot them based on the way they look because they're usually unpainted. But we would try to avoid an asbestos roof and go for a tin or tile roof if we have the option, because it's about $20,000 plus to replace an asbestos roof on a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom home. There's 3 options when you're looking at the exterior of a home. That is typically brick and tile, so a brick veneer, a clad home, so weatherboards on the outside, and then you've also got an asbestos clad home, which is typically large particle boards which have been fashioned onto the side of the house. Now that kind of rates in the order that we would prefer buying homes, just for longevity. So bricks typically that has the most longevity and least maintenance, then weatherboard, and then asbestos. Now asbestos homes are costly to deal with, but there is some renovation opportunity, and it is pretty common to have asbestos in homes, in older homes especially, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. Moving on to the inside, you need to look at the bedrooms and bathrooms that you're going to get and the rental return of that property or similar properties in the area. The more bedrooms and bathrooms you can get in a house, the more rental income you're going to get, but you just need to factor these things into the price as well. So you typically wouldn't want a 5 or 6 bedroom home in an area that has demand for 3 or 4 bedroom homes. You want to try and buy the average house in the area, as you're going to see uplift over the long term as there is demand for those properties more than there are for, let's say, 2 or 5 bedroom homes. So to try and buy the average home in the area and on a average or larger size block with great location is kind of the Goldilocks zone of property specific factors that you're looking for. So we've gone through the roof, we've gone through the exterior, and we've gone through the number of bedrooms. The last point I want to touch on is value add potential. And this applies to all of the factors I've talked about. So is there value add potential in this property deal? Is there a way you can carve out another block of land from the purchase and do a splitter block? Is there a way you can add a granny flat to the back of the property? Could you potentially lift the house and add more bedrooms and bathrooms in? Or reconfigure the layout inside the property to create value down the track? You don't necessarily have to do these things when you buy the property or even in the first 5 or 10 years. You just have to look for the value add potential in the property, as at a point in time, you might be able to realize that value by going through with the deal or the thought process you'd had in mind for that property. For example, if you bought a home which you knew you could jack and build in underneath, like we did here at the Triple Gable Queenslander, our plan is to do this small cosmetic renovation in the first year or 2 while we're here, and in about 5 or 10 years time, we'll lift the house, build in underneath, and create more bedrooms and bathrooms, which will create more value in this property in the long term. Obviously, all of these factors depend on whether you're going to use the house as being a principal place of residence or an investment opportunity. It's important to look at all the factors before choosing to go ahead with making an offer on a property or ruling it out completely. So those are the main 3 areas, being the land, the location, and the property specific factors that you should look out for when making a property purchase. If you found this information useful, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more renovation, investing, and property videos. If you've got any video ideas, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you and potentially make a video on your comment or your question. And drop a like on this video and click the notification bell. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Hello. Are you disrupting my YouTube video? Yes, you just want snuggles. Oh, that's good, isn't it? He sounds like a steam train. Is it good? Yeah. Okay, on your bed. Or not. I'm just gonna crack on.